Well, this is for Tom and Pete. I've got the K-Series up on the bench finally to take it apart. And when I brought it up here, I said, wait a minute, what's that in the exhaust port? Looks like orzo, pasta. So I guess the mice that have been living in the garage were using this as a hiding spot. Well, the thing is, with an overhead valve, or a flathead, I mean, it's got to go up through the valve and into the combustion chamber. If the intake valve is open, there'll be orzo in the cylinder. So I'm going to take off this cylinder head, and I'm going to see what happened with the orzo. So let me put you on a little stand here. Oh, let me get you a good vantage point so you can see. Actually, let me can I turn the camera around? Let's see. Can I turn it around? Let me get you a good vantage point. I'll be right back. All right, I want to see myself taking it apart, so I put the camera like this. Hopefully you can hear me okay. You probably won't see me too well, but you can hear me. All right, am I going to use regular tools, hand tools, hand tools? All right, 9/16. These are 3/8, 16. They're grade 8 from the factory, torqued to 30 foot-pounds. So it should come off pretty easy. Oh, sometimes you got to give it a little bit of a whack. And a 14 horse, it's a K321A. In a 14 horse, 10, 12, and 14 horse, there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 head bolts. In a 10 horsepower, there are 10 head bolts. And I'll show you the difference. Here's a 10 horsepower head gasket. And if you notice, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 head bolts. 10, 12, 14, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 10 is a 16 horse. So right off the bat, if you look at these engines, oh, I don't know, do I have a 16 horse, 14 horse, 10, 12? Well, if you have 10 bolts, you know you got a 16. If you have 9, then you got to really look at the piston diameter to determine what you got. So let me finish taking this thing apart. I want to see where that orzo went. See what Mickey Mouse did with it. Unless he's in there. Is this engine a nest? Has it been a nest for him? Maybe. Maybe he's sleeping in there with the orzo. Maybe he'll pop out on me and scare the hell out of me. Who knows? I've seen worse. Actually, I've never seen food in an engine. All right. Okay. Let's take these out. We still on the camera? Yeah, we're on camera. All right. Let's take these babies out. And it appears on this one, he's got a few mixed up washers. There's supposed to be hardened washers on these. He's got a big washer on that one. It doesn't look like it's a hardened washer. It just looks like it's a big washer. You can tell the original hardware. It's all painted. The original. This came out of an Economy Power King. I believe it's a 1614. So it'd be 16-inch wheels with a 14-inch horsepower or 14 horsepower engine. And a K321 Kohler, just in case you don't know. 32 cubic inch and single cylinder for 321. 32 cubic inch, single cylinder, K321, 14 horse. A K241, 24 cubic inch, 10 horse. A K341, 1634 cubic inch, 16 horse. And a 12 would be a K301, 30 cubic inch or 12 horse. All right, let's make sure these bolts are out. And let's see if we find Mickey or Minnie in there. All right, you ready? All right, here we go, guys. Nope, the valve is closed. That means the only place that the orzo is in there to the valve where the valve guide is, so that's it. And this piston, actually the piston, wow. It looks like it does not have much use of it. If you look at that piston, all right, you don't have much use on it. Where is it? There you go. A little bit of flame front. Where the flame kernel went, the spark plug's about right here. So the flame kernel, the intake charge came in, it burned, and it went out the exhaust. So the majority of the flame burn was right here. All right. We're going to see if we can see any discerning marks on the top of that piston to ascertain if it's a standard bore or let's see what it is. Usually it'll say on it. This one doesn't. This one, nope. So if that's the case and there's no mark on it, usually it'll say STD for standard. Usually it'll say STD and it'll have a little mark pointing to where the flywheel side is, which is this side. You'll usually see a little mark here. So I'm hoping, and the bore actually looks a little bit of ridge, not much. It's been used, but the bore is in great shape. Now this customer provided me with a 3/1000 piston and rings. So if this is good and the bore looks good, I'm just going to do a quick deglaze, mic it up, and if it, I may have to take a few thousandths off. We'll see. As you can tell, the head gasket's actually in great shape. It's in real good shape. This engine looks like it's brand new. I don't know. He said it was smoking, so he's saying valve guides. So we'll check that out. But in this case, the head gasket looks great. 9-hole, so it's a 10, 12, or 14. In this case, it's a 14. And if you want to know what a 14 is, I believe it's 3 3/8 bore. Let me get a caliper and, well, I can get a tape measure. I'm trying to think. Is it 3 3/8 or 3 1/2? Let's see. It is 3 1/2. So a 3 1/2 inch bore is a 14 horse, and you could verify that by looking that up in the Kohler manual. So 3 1/2 inch bore is a 14. So all right, that takes care of that part. Like I said, piston's in good shape. Everything's in good shape. Can I still see? Okay. Now what I gotta do? I gotta take off the valve cover so we can access the valves, the tappets. We gotta take the valves out, take off the valve cover, take off the tappet, take off the fuel pump, take off the cam cover, take out the governor and its guts, and then we do the oil pan and all that. So we'll go from there. All right, so little by little, let's take out the valve cover. That's usually a 7/16. And it is. Take off the valve cover. I've rebuilt a few engines for this customer and for his uncle. They both have economy Power Kings and good customers. Works with me at Sikorsky. Nice guy, Peter. Oh, washer fell. Let me get that washer. The gasket looks pretty good. It's got orange paint on it, so it looks like it might be original gasket. Let me take that washer. It's got a lock washer on the valve cover. Take off the breather element. Yeah, well used. These come green normally, so when you see it black, it means it's been used. There's a rubber tube that holds it on, and usually a little bit of oil comes out of here. All right, the rubber tube holds on the little diffuser plate. Then you have the little reed plate. All right, the reed plate comes out, and you can see where the reed plate has been wearing onto the inner portion to pop back and forth. That gives you your vacuum. All right, and aha, I see a problem, and I think I know why it's smoking. I think I know why it's smoking. This is interesting. And there's a little quandary here because now I have to make a decision. When you install these plates, I'm going to show you real quick because this is something that it's in the Kohler manual. As I said, it's in the Kohler manual and a lot of people forget about it. See right there? What does that say? Top. You know why it says top? Because it's supposed to go on top. And if you look up top here, let me see if I can find it here with my, let's see if I can get a flashlight. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take it off. There's a drain hole. There's a drain hole up there for the oil to drain out. If this is upside down as it is, the oil is going to build up in this chamber. And it's going to smoke like crazy. So I have a problem now. This piston looks great. Compression looks great. Everything looks great. What do I do? Do I just put it together, turn it on, and see how it runs? Well, I've got to get in here to see what Mickey Mouse did to get rid of that. But, you know, we may just slap it back together. I'll do a valve job. I'll clean the valves up, get that all going. And if compression's good and everything looks good and the valve guides look good, I'm just slapping it back together because this plate being upside down is the cause of smoking a lot of times. That may be it. So, all right, guys, we'll be back in a few. All right, I'm gonna put the engine block, the camera a little bit to the right there so I can be here on the left. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit here, hopefully you can see, I'm gonna use my valve spring compressor. This is a Lyle product for small engines. I'm gonna put it underneath. I'm gonna jack up. Yeah, actually, these valves are way out of adjustment. Both of them, they will not stay closed at exactly the same time. So yeah, this needed some work. This engine did need some work. Hey, there's a mouse in my garage. All right, let's take these valve springs up. Then we'll take out the two keepers, or the locks, if you will. And then, oh, there we go. Sometimes they stick. All right, let's jack this valve spring up. Doesn't feel that heavy. We'll jack it up so we can compress as much as we can. All right, and the keepers will fall out, or the locks, if you will. The retainer, I call them keepers, they call them locks. You have two locks or keepers. They go into the valve, and then the retainer, there's a taper in the retainer that they sit in to hold them in. So there's two of those. So there's one, and the other one should be somewhere in there. Let me put that over there. Take this doodad off, and the valve should come right out. And then we'll pull out the intake, and we'll see what Mickey and Minnie left us for a present. All right, ready? Here comes the intake. Now, keep in mind, on 14 horsepower, these things, oh, there we go. These things tend to stick, these valves. And this one isn't too bad. It's got a lot of carbon on it, so it's well used. But you can see, got a lot of carbon on it. The stem itself isn't bad, but it's got a lot of carbon. And the way you test if a valve guide is bad or worn, I'll show you in a minute. You got exhaust over there. Let me take out the spring. Usually you could just take a screwdriver and pop the spring out. Oh, this has a rotator. Ah, okay, I can show you a rotator. All right, on the exhaust valve of some Kohlers, they use what's called an exhaust valve rotator. See it here? Instead of having just a retainer like this, because that's usually a retainer, it's a thrust bearing. There's actually a thrust bearing, and that's the bottom of it, and there's the other keeper. See the other lock? It's in there. Then the other one goes in there, it locks on the valve. But this, if you notice, it rotates. You got little ball bearings in there. It's called a rotator. And what happens is the rotator keeps the valve rotating, and by rotating it, the wear is increased, you know, the life of it. It's for better wear, because the exhaust valve gets so hot, you want to give it as best a life as it can. So a rotator is a good idea. So Kohler did that on a lot of them. All right, here is the spring, and what goes on top of the spring is this little seat. It doesn't rest against the roof of the cast iron. It uses one of these stamped seats, and the top of the valve spring rests in one of these. All right. Now on the intake, there shouldn't be a rotator on the intake, although there might be. Let me check that out now. Let's. All right. So the exhaust, that's done. Now we're doing intake. Well, actually, let me see what Mickey and Minnie did. Oh yeah, Mickey and Minnie. Here, I'll show you guys. Hello. Yeah, no mouse in there, but there's all your orzo. Yeah, not a good place to store it. So let me get a container and see if I can blow that out of there. All right. All right, you ready? I'm gonna. Whew. All right, what's left? One piece of orzo. What has he got in there? He's got a lentil. Yeah, he's got 3 lentils. 3 lentils and a bunch of orzo. Well, Mickey's not eating that tonight, so sorry, Mickey. We got your lentil and orzo is gonna have to wait. We got one piece of. Where's the thing? We got one piece of. Where is it? There we go. Let's get that. Yeah, that orzo is gone. Gonzo! There it is. There's your last piece of orzo. All right. So that pocket is clean. We're going to do a valve job. We're going to get our new AC cards. We're going to take all this carbon off. We're going to cut the valves up. Going to do it nice. Now let's take off this intake. Let me zoom you in again. Put you in my toolbox here so you can get a good view. All right. Now we're going to take out the intake. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, got a little bit of orzo in the valve chamber. Can't have orzo in the chamber. All right, let's take it, that orzo. All right. Now we're going on the intake, the exhaust. I'm sorry, intake. Intake. It looks like it has a rotator. So this engine had rotators on both sides. So let's see if the locks are stuck. They'll go pop. Or not. Let's see. Maybe they'll just stay on the valve and be good. Let's see what happens. Yep, one just fell out. They both fell out. Okay. There's one lock. And come on, baby. I can use my magnet, my new Lyle magnet, which I love. And there's the other one, 2 locks. All right, that's intake. Now let's drop this. I love Kohler K series, my favorite engine. Love them to death. Love working on them, love rebuilding them, love running them. And I'm hoping that this thing doesn't need much, because that'll be a quick and dirty rebuild. All right, so we're done with the valve compressor. We'll put that away. All right, let's take out, let's see, it does have a rotator. I'll show you that. Come on, baby. Take this gasket off of here. Let's take out the valve. There's the intake valve. Intake valve looks pretty good. The wear, it's not too bad. It's fairly clean. There's not a lot of carbon on it. So it's been sealing. You can see it's been sealing good. So not a lot of that valve will probably clean up. I may regrind it, but it should clean up. All right, let's get that rotator and spring out of there. All right, I'll show you the whole sandwich. All right. We have, on tonight's menu, we have the top piece, the stamp piece that holds that, and we got the retainer with the little thrust bearing in there. So intake and exhaust both had thrust bearings. All right, so we've got the intake valve off, the exhaust valve out. Now, let's see, I'll show you the little trick I use to tell if a valve guide is decent. All right, I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to do it with gauges to show you, but also do it with the valve. All right, I need a little bit of motor oil. Let me get some, where's the motor oil? I got to get some motor oil. Where is it? Where is it? All right, here we go. All right, the way you can tell if a valve guide is working properly, it should have suction when you force it through the guide with a little bit of oil on it. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here. I'm going to put some oil on the valve stem. All right, this is the exhaust. I'm going to drop it into the guide. I'm going to put my finger on top of the guide. All right, and when I pull up on the valve, you should hear a, like, bonk. Ready? Hear that? There we go again. Put your finger to, ready? Hear that? That means it's forming a seal. With the oil, that's beautiful. In fact, that feels great. So he's telling me he needs valve guides. I think his whole problem was that stupid plate. Let me do the intake. Wipe this off, put a little oil on the intake valve. Let's see how that guide feels. Ready? Let's put our finger on it. Beautiful, nice and loud. Look at that. That is beautiful, and it's pulling. I mean, watch this again. Watch, I'm gonna pull on it, right? See how it's holding like a spring? See? The vacuum in there, see? That's holding, look at that. It's holding like a syringe. That's perfect. That valve guide's good, look at that, look at that. It's pulling back on me, forming a vacuum, perfect. Those valve guides are good. I will check them with pin gauges to make sure they're factory spec, but honestly, guys, I do not see this as having bad valve guides. Those valve guides, that would be what I would look for when I would hone out valve guides or remount valve guides for new valves. They are sticking wonderfully. They're forming a great vacuum. Those valve guides are good. I think the whole thing was this valve chamber plate was upside down, filled with oil, smoked. Somebody put it in backwards. I don't know who, but whoever did it made a boo-boo. So hopefully that'll be it. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here for part 1. I may not have to take any of this other stuff apart, okay? Valve guides look good. I'm going to clean up the top in the next episode. I'm going to do a valve job. I'm going to grind those valves, clean up the faces. I'm going to use my new weight kit. I'm going to show you how to do a valve job, a 3-angle valve job on here. We'll clean it up. We'll clean up the head. And hopefully in part 2, we'll almost be ready to get this thing running. The flywheel's not on it or any of that. He gave it to me in a box. But at this point, I'm hoping this is going to be a nice, easy job. All right, guys, that's it for now. Any questions, comments, suggestions, please like, subscribe. The K-series will continue. Hopefully I'll get another episode in a day or 2. That's it for now. We'll talk to you soon.